Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Limbaugh.
Hello, everyone. I know that I am most certainly not the Limbaugh that you tuned in to listen to today. I, like you, very much wish Rush was behind this golden microphone right now, welcoming you to another exceptional 3 hours of broadcasting. For over 32 years, Rush has cherished you, his loyal audience, and always look forward to every single show. It is with profound sadness I must share with you directly that our beloved Rush, my wonderful husband, passed away this morning due to complications from lung cancer. As so many of you know, losing a loved one is terribly difficult. Even more so when that loved one is larger than life. Rush will forever be the greatest of all time. Rush was an extraordinary man, a gentle giant, brilliant, quick-witted, genuinely kind, extremely generous, passionate, courageous, and the hardest working person I know. Despite being one of the most recognized, powerful people in the world, Rush never let the success change his core or beliefs. He was polite and respectful to everyone he met. Even most recently, when he was not feeling well in the hospital, he was so appreciative to every single doctor and nurse and custodian and first responder. He never wanted to put anyone out and always thanked them profusely for their help. From today on, there will be a tremendous void in our lives and, of course, on the radio. Rush loved our miraculous country beyond measure, an unwavering patriot. He loved our United States military, our flag, our Constitution, our founding fathers. He proudly fought and defended conservative values in a way that no one else can. Rush often stood up and took arrows on his own because he knew it was the right thing to do. Rush encouraged so many of us to think for ourselves, to learn, and to lead. He often said it did not matter where you started or what you look like. As Americans, we all have endless opportunities like nowhere else in the world. Rush gave us hope that through hard work and determination, we can overcome the obstacles in our lives and be our best. Many of you started small businesses or pursued personal dreams because Rush gave you the faith that you could. He made the most complex issues simple to understand, while making that level of genius look easy. It most certainly was anything but easy. Irreplaceable, remarkable talent. On behalf of the Limbaugh family, I would personally like to thank each and every one of you who prayed for Rush and inspired him to keep going. You rallied around Rush and lifted him up when he needed you the most. I am certain, without a shadow of a doubt, if he could be here today, he would be. He loved you, and he loved this radio program with every part of his being. Instead, we know our Rush is in heaven, encouraging us in the same way he always did on earth. Rush's love for our country and belief that our best days are ahead live on eternally. In Rush's honor, may we all continue Rush's mission in our individual lives and communities. I know all of you listening are terribly sad. We all are. I'm terribly sorry to have to deliver this news to you. God bless you, Rush, and God bless our country.
And Rush, in recognition of all that you have done for our nation, the millions of people a day that you speak to and that you inspire, and all of the incredible work that you have done for charity, I am proud to announce tonight that you will be receiving our country's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
President Trump, are you with me?
I am, and it was a great honor to do so. When we gave the Medal of Freedom, it was something special. It was an incredible night. We gave it during the State of the Union address, and it was especially half the room. Half the room went crazy, and the other half the room, they knew he should get it. But it was special, and he was special.
Mr. President, thank you for joining us. When was the last time you spoke with Rush Limbaugh?
3 or 4 days ago. I'd call him just to find out. You know, his fight was very, very courageous, and he was very, very sick. And, you know, from diagnosis on, it was just something that was not going to be beaten, but you wouldn't know it. And he is married to an incredible woman, Catherine, who really, every time I spoke to him, he would tell me how great she was. She took such great care. He was very brave. I mean, he, in theory, could have been gone 4 months ago, really. He was fighting till the very end. He was a fighter.
While
and just a great gentleman.
Yeah, while you were in the White House, how did you view how he either carried on your message or chose to agree or disagree with the policies you had as Commander-in-Chief?
Well, first of all, you know, you just had Sean on, Sean Hannity, who's incredible. And Sean would say there is nobody like Rush. Sean was the first to say that I used to say, well, what do you think someday? And he'd say he's irreplaceable. Rush is irreplaceable, unique. He had an audience that was massive. And, you know, he could do something, Bill, and he would get up in the show and would just talk. He wouldn't take phone calls where, you know, people would call in every 2 minutes, and that's sort of easy to do. He would just talk for 2 hours and 3 hours, just talk. And that's not an easy thing to do. And I once asked him, I said, do you study for the show? And he said, actually, I study very hard, which a little bit, Harris said, a little bit surprised me. But he was a fantastic man, a fantastic talent. And people, whether they loved him or not, they respected him. They really did.
And President Trump, I have always wondered, just seeing the look of surprise on Rush's face, what he knew about that moment and what you learned that he was going through in that moment after. He is succumbed to tears, and I was curious, what did he know was coming?
So I did tell him beforehand, because we didn't have the power of not doing it. You know, Rush was very sick at the time. He was at a hospital in Boston. And I didn't want to do the surprise thing. I wish I could have done that, but we really didn't have that power of doing it, because he had to. It was a very difficult thing for him to come into Washington from where he was, and he did it. And there was questions as to whether or not he was just a very brave guy. He was amazing, and he came in, and it was, as he told me, it was the greatest honor of his life. And everybody in the room. You know, you're talking about the Republicans and the Democrats. You had half of that room went crazy. You remember the evening well, I'm sure. It was a very unique moment in our country's history, in a sense, because of who Rush is. But half went just absolutely crazy. The other half sat totally dead silent, but 100% of that room respected Rush. It was a unique guy, and he became a friend of mine. You know, I didn't know Rush at all. I had essentially never met Rush. And then when we came down the escalator, he liked my rather controversial speech. I made that speech that was a little bit on the controversial side, and he loved it. And he was, without ever having met him or talked to him or, you know, had lunch with him or asked him, he was with me right from the beginning. And he liked what I said, and he agreed with what I said, and he was just a great gentleman, great man.
Mr. President.
That is such fascinating detail that you're giving, Mr. President, about how you didn't really know him all that well, yet he became someone who carried your message. I'm curious to know what you wanted him to know, and maybe you got to tell him in the last 3 or 4 days that you spoke about the difference that he made for you.
Well, I think he did, and I've heard as many as 39 million people. You know, that's an audience that you don't hear about anymore. And I heard 39 million people. And I don't know if you remember, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I did his show, and I heard they had a tremendous audience, and it lasted for like a long time. The interview was like an hour, and it just went right through, and it was... His questions were fascinating. I think the show was fascinating. He had a way of he had an insight that few people have, just few people have, even really good ones, really pros in your business. And by the way, you two are some great combination. You and Bill together, Harris, that's a great combination that does incredibly well.
Thank
and
you,
we
Mr.
thank
President.
you for it. We really thank you both for it. But he was a very unique guy, and he had tremendous insight. He got it. He really got it. He was very street smart in a sense, and a lot of people wouldn't know, but he was very, very street smart. He really got it.
Mr. President, we probably have 100 questions for you, but so many of them are not appropriate for this venue, so we'll keep it on this topic for now, and we appreciate your time today. Perhaps that street smarts came from growing up in the Midwest, at Cape Girardeau in Missouri along the Mississippi River. Later, he went on to work for the Kansas City Royals and the Pittsburgh Pirates before he turned his attention full-time to radio in Sacramento, California. But you just said something a moment ago, and Harris picked up on it. Just tell us more about how you two got to know each other. I'm thinking of 2015, the summer, 17 candidates on a stage in Cleveland. At what point did he concede that you were the guy, and how did that come about?
Well, I got a call from a friend of mine who was a big Rush fan, and he said, Rush loves you. I said, I don't see that. You know, I hadn't heard. I'm not able to listen to the radio during the afternoon too much. You're on the trail, and you're making speeches or doing whatever you're doing. I was actually making speeches and running a business. I was doing both of them simultaneously, right? And he just told me that, and then all of a sudden I started getting little transcript stuff. I would try to listen every once in a while. He was there right from the beginning, and it was incredible. And then I guess I called him just to thank him, and we developed just some very good friendship. We played golf together a little bit. He was a very strong guy, physically very strong, hit the ball a long way.
I guess the reason I asked that question, you think back about 5 years ago, you don't strike me as his kind of guy back then. What changed?
Well, I don't know. You know, you never know about people. I like some people that nobody would think I like, and I dislike some people that everybody would say, oh, that's a natural. We all know about that, right? I mean, you never know who you like and who you don't like, or you know, where it all ends up. But right from the beginning, he was so great. And you know, and I have a very beautiful weakness. I always seem to like people that like me, okay? You know, it's much easier. When they don't like me, I tend not to go for them so much. So call that a strength or call that a weakness, but that's the way it is. But Rush was so gracious and so great. So then over a period of time, I got to know him, and he loved this country. He loved the country. He loved his wife and his family, and he loved his fans, his audience, which was, I think, maybe the biggest ever. There's never been anything like it. You know, when Sean says irreplaceable, he really means it too. He's irreplaceable.
What did he share with you after the election on November 3rd?
Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead, Harris.
I'm curious to know if he gave you a note or two, or if he had some advice for you at any point along the way.
So he was, again, it was very early because, you know, that famous escalator ride was the very beginning. And he was one of the
Yes.
people that said we were going to win. He thought we were going to win. I don't think it was necessarily the reason he was so, you know, gracious so early. But he thought we were going to win. He just had an incredible instinct for politics, and he had an incredible instinct for life. I mean, he was just, so I just, you know, I walked into a room, and there's a lot of people in the room, and they're all very sad to see people that you wouldn't even think about, like with respect to Rush, but they're very sad to see that Rush passed away. He is a legend. He really is. There aren't too many legends around, but he is a legend. And to those people that listen to him every day, like, it was like a religious experience for a lot of people. I mean, his fans, they just wouldn't miss him. A very, very unique person.
Yeah.